Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Spiritual Center for Conscious Living. You are here with Spencer, Renee, and Lori for
Hey.
part 3 of our May series. Our topic today is being one with divine power. Our overall series for May is aligning with divine presence and power. Thank you all for joining us here on Facebook and YouTube as we go live. Please feel free to chime in. We started doing this about a month ago and wanted to let you all know that you're welcome. Your comments are welcome here. We want to make this conversational. So even if you're just letting me know that you can't hear us or something's wrong, that would be fantastic. Leave us comments. A little bit of an update. Last week we had some spam bots in the comments. So I put the chat into subscribers only mode. So if you'd like to leave a comment for us on YouTube, you have to go to our channel and subscribe to us for 15 minutes. So once you've listened to us for 15 minutes, been with us for 15 minutes, then you can comment. I also put another safeguard on slow mode, so you can only send a comment every 30 seconds. So you can't be spamming away. Get your thoughts out and then hit send if you have a lot to say. Or just be patient. You'll get your time again. So yes, with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Renee to get us started.
Wonderful. Hello, everybody. I'm going to switch my view here so I can feel like I'm looking you right in the eye. There we go. So I know last week, in addition to to the spammy things that were going on that Spencer was managing well, we were having some trouble sound because I'm in a different space and the air conditioner unit here is loud. So please let me know. Are you able to hear me? We have a microphone now. Thank you for a lovely birthday gift from the team for me. And I want to acknowledge some birthdays too. Sharon had a birthday this weekend, and last week Mary had a birthday. So we had all together, if you want to count my kitty cat, we had 4 birthdays this month. It's big. That was cool. That's just the ones we know about. I bet there's some of you that had birthdays in May that we didn't know about, and we'd love to just give you send you some virtual love vibes if you would like to just say I had a birthday, and we'll share it with you. We'd love to know where you're from. If you want to just say hello and let us know where you're from, because we get statistics about the viewers, but we don't know names. We don't have names assigned, so we'd love to know where you're from. And as Spencer said, please feel free to ask questions. We're going to have an interactive part in a few minutes, and if you ask a question, we will address it. If you ask it on the replay, I still will come back and address it. Or if it's directed to Spencer or Lori, something they said during the conversation, they'll address it. So we do really want to hear from you. We were here to support you in any way we can. We do this, as Spencer said, because we chose this to be a nonprofit where we offer spiritual wisdom every week without charging. And that's why we do take donations, because we are a nonprofit. Lori will talk about that later. And it's just, we want you to be part of the energy. So a like, a love, a share, a comment, just even a hello, then you're participating, and it's good for you to expend that energy with us as well as receiving from us. We're honored to have you here live or later in the replay. So let's get on with what we're talking about today. So as Spencer said, our topic this month has been aligning with divine presence and power. So part 1 was on May 8th. It's in the replay section of our Facebook page and also the YouTube page. So you can go back and listen to opening to divine presence. We talked about helping you. I went through ways to help you find the way that's ideal for you. And also we talked about what happens when it's hard. Why is it hard? What gets in the way? And what particular areas in a person's life might trigger them to make it harder, where it's easy in some aspect of your life, but another facet of life, some people, it's easy with money, it's hard with health, or it's easy with health, it's hard with money, or relationships are good in some ways, but not in others. And so things like that, the second week, May 15th, was part 2, finding your focus and flow. So we really talked about getting getting the clarity now that you know how to align, making sure you do that before you take action or speak, and asking for guidance, because sometimes the correct action is to be still. And the correct thing to say it out loud might be nothing. It might be just to hold sacred space. It might be simply to, um, to just stay open for the wisdom, and rather than your ego or intellect taking charge, because the intellect is meant to serve the divine self. So we're going to expand on that today. Today's topic, being one with divine power. So let's all take a breath, please. I want you to feel how, in this moment, on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, how open do you feel in your energy field? And if that's new for you, let me help you understand what I'm saying, what I'm asking. I'm asking you to feel into your physical body and feel into your emotional field, energy field, your emotions, and feel into your mental field, which is not your human brain. It is that part of you that connects to divine intelligence, infinite intelligence. So the question is, how open are you right this moment? Take a breath, please. Choose to open it more. Just choose. Direct your energy field to open more, and direct it to open only to pure source, not to other human beings, but to life force in the world, which exists in other human beings. But we want to open to the divine energy in the world, and the divine energy beyond this world, and the divine energy within you, the divine self, which is your unique core formula of expressing the divine in this lifetime. Now, do you feel like on that scale, has it increased? Are you more open? Let's do one more breath. Take a breath. Exhale the sound. Whoa. That opens the vagus nerve in the body, which helps all of your major organs have good energy flow, good chi, you might say. So the process I just took you through is a very simple way to know, check in with yourself. Where is your energy frequency? Your emotions tell you, very simply, positive emotion, you're open to life force to some degree. Negative emotion, you are restricting the love, the light, the joy, and the deep abiding peace that is divine presence, and that amazing, peaceful, benevolent power of the divine. You're restricting that. You're holding yourself back from it. If you totally restricted it, you wouldn't be alive. So you're not restricting it 100%, but to the degree of the negative emotion, you might say, well, I'm having negative emotion about something someone else is doing. It's not that the other person isn't doing something triggering an emotion in you, but you are having that emotion to inform you. Your divine self is helping you to be informed. Body restriction, constriction, which becomes health issues, mental, brain fog. That's a disconnection of energy fields. Emotional overwhelm, turmoil, fear, anxiety, frustration, etc. Full-blown rage, absolute fear, overwhelm, hopelessness, all of those negative emotions. Those are indicators that to what degree you are restricting divine presence and power in that moment. You can change it in a moment. You can change it in a moment. So I want to read, this is in the program, those of you who like to go to the program before we have our live stream or before you watch the replay. It's on our homepage. You'll see the little red PDF icon. And I always put up a weekly reading. So I'm going to read, this is from Daily Word, their May issue. Daily Word is a publication of Unity. The word they use that I chose for this to share in this inspirational article is awaken. And the affirmation is, I awaken to the awesome power of God within and all around me. That's divine presence and power. And as I guided you to open to that, that's another way of awakening to the truth of your being, that you are, in addition to being a beautiful human being, you are a beautiful being of light, a divine expression, unique for you, as you, God speaking to you through you, the divine spirit, beloved source, life force, however you like to name that energy force that is the true power of our life. So it's always available in every moment, for every need and for every desire. And when aligned with divine presence and power, you will make loving choices. Sometimes loving choices are boundaries. They will be done with love, not anger. You see, there's a difference. And sometimes we have to let ourselves have the anger to recognize that we're tolerating something we are really not wanting to tolerate. It doesn't feel good. We can learn to sense it sooner with mild negative emotion instead of big negative emotion. At the same time, we don't want to judge ourselves and criticize ourselves. And I'm talking about you. I'm talking to you about you. I'm talking in terms of each of us individually, including myself, rather than what somebody else did and how to handle them, because that's their responsibility. And I want to ask you, how much of your time and energy and focus, which is how you flow energy, do you spend trying to create for someone else? We talked about that a little bit last week. I think we really talked about it every week because it's such a human tendency. And you might call that love, but I want you to know that's not love. We also talked about that in the past weeks. That unconditional love is you connecting to divine love and not letting anyone else's behavior cause you, for yourself, about yourself, within yourself, to disconnect from divine love. That's it. It's that simple. You're connected to divine love by your own choice, and you are disconnected to whatever degree also by your own choice. It's not because they did something. They may have done something that triggered an emotion in you, perhaps a fear, perhaps a sadness, perhaps a sense of outrage, of unfairness. And yes, there's a lot of that happens in the world, and we want to be aware of it, and we want to be honest about our feelings, and then we want to process it. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking a lot about how to have conscious conversations, high vibrational awareness in conversation, and non-judgment, and how to have that connection to divine love that is also a very sacred self-love, which does not allow invasive behavior from others, not because you control them, but because you master your own energy, and you have more skillfulness in your awareness to see that happening in another person, by another person, through another person, or a group of people. And then you choose to say, no, thank you. Please, that you like, it's like a buffet. You can choose what you want from the buffet and leave what you don't want. You don't have to go take a big hammer and smash what you don't want, right? But you can leave it. If there's somebody causing harm, obviously, as a collective consciousness, we want to deal with that. We don't want to just let it happen, but we don't deal with it wisely if we ignore our feeling, the emotions we have about it, because that is our indicator of where we're at in terms of our alignment with divine power and presence. And if we don't manage that, then we are constantly reacting in the mere human ability, which, however wonderful it is nothing at all compared to allowing our divine self to open, receive divine presence and power, guide us with wisdom, guide us with appropriate action or stillness. And then let our intellect come into that, our talents, our skills, our abilities, our wisdom of life experience in this human realm, our awareness and wisdom of experiences beyond the human realm that we open to intellectually and emotionally. That's the beauty of divine love. So we'll do a process about that in just a moment. All right, so I'm going to finish reading the article. This is the actual article. I just read the affirmation. So here's this article again from Unity's Daily Word this month. Not merely awake, I am awakened. I feel vibrantly alive and keenly aware of the presence of God within all things. When I come upon a flower, I remember it was once a seed, and I trust it will bear seeds that carry on the cycle of life. I pause to marvel at the turning seasons, appreciating the order that underlies all change. As I awaken to the glory of a world teeming with life, I discover God anew. All the marvels I discover around me pale in comparison to the marvels I realize are always within me. Is that true for you? If it's not, 100% on that scale of 1 to 10, way at the top, then just take a moment now to set the intention to be more aware and stay open to the marvels within you, as well as the marvels in life around us. Last piece here is I am a divine being expressing the goodness, wisdom, and love of God as only I can. This awareness empowers me as I awaken to the creative, generative power of my thoughts and feelings to create my experience of life. And then they always add a Bible verse. This one is from Psalm 57:8. Awake, my soul. Awake, O harp and lyre. Or is it lyre? I should look that up. I will awake the dawn. So think about that. I will awake the dawn. I believe what that is. Metaphysically, that is saying, I will awake the light of the divine within me, the light of the one that is within me, that is the life force of each of us. I will awake it now. I will awaken to it, and I will live awakened from this moment forward. And I invite you to make the decision that you will do that to the best of your ability in every moment. And when you notice that you're constricting that energy, closing off, not awakened, opened to divine light, the presence and the power of the divine, divine love, divine joy, deep, abiding peace of the divine. And as you notice that, just pause, take a breath. Let's do it now. Take a breath. Exhale sound. Oh. Choose. Choose. So here's another question for you. To what degree do you open to the divine before choosing your behavior, something to say or do? On a scale of 1 to 10. High numbers, low numbers. It's not a judgment. It's just something for you to be aware of and make a more conscious choice about going forward. There's a couple things here. I want to ask this. I see this a lot, and it's something I've worked on in my life too. I had an experience recently I shared in the renovating of this little beach bungalow that's an overall very joyful experience. And then there was something about it very stressful. And I realized that I didn't take the time to check in and make sure with each person I hired, was this a good choice for me? Regardless of who had recommended them and how they might have done well for someone else. I did that with most people, but I didn't with the person I had the problem with. So that was good insight, it's good awareness. And when we don't do that, so I want you to consider why you don't do that. So please bring to mind a situation in your life, whether it's a present situation or a recent one, or maybe a long time ago, that brought a lot of turmoil, a lot of chaos. Maybe you're still dealing with it. Maybe it's something unfolding right now. And I invite you to go back to the moment that you said yes to that, whether it was just silently within yourself, that you began your energy participation in that, whether it was a conversation, an agreement, a new relationship, a new job, an exchange of money, a decision how you would treat yourself in terms of your health. Go back to the moment you said yes, whether you in the moment, maybe you weren't knowing in the moment, you weren't aware, you weren't conscious that you were saying yes, but now you can look back and say, that was the moment I began participating. I agreed verbally, silently, or even unconsciously to participate in this dynamic with this other person or these group of people, or just with myself. Now, in that moment, the degree of sacred self-love you were practicing determined whether you were making a wise choice or it turned out to be an unwise choice. Another thing that's cool about it is to understand that it wasn't unwise in the sense that it was a mistake. It was different in frequency from what you were consciously wanting to experience. Good health, positive use of your money, a good experience in collaborating, co-creating with someone, joyful relationship without chaos and turmoil and ups and downs, constant ups and downs. The speed bumps, we talked about the speed bumps of life. So the speed bumps are the divine universe bringing to your awareness. You're not creating in the same energy frequency that you're expressing or that you think you want to experience. And I'm sure that it's sincere, but there's a gap. The frequency you want is high and the frequency you're getting is medium or maybe low. So why would you choose something that's not high? You're out of alignment with the divine, and when you're out of alignment with the divine, you're also not capable of choosing in a very grounded, aware state of sacred self-love. And I invite you to just accept that truth. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you inferior or weak or not good enough in any way. It isn't because you're not worthy of sacred self-love. It isn't because you're not capable of staying in alignment and making those choices. It's that it's a habit, a pattern that it's now time for you to be aware of, so you can choose in a more highly conscious way. So that situation, or maybe there's another one that's popped up. Bring that to mind. Bring that to mind. And be honest with yourself. There was a moment at which you vibrationally said yes to participate in a co-creative dance with a person or a group of people, or you unknowingly open yourself to rendezvous with something that would be unpleasant or maybe even very upsetting and difficult, challenging. You didn't do it to be mean to yourself. You did it because it was the best you're capable of in the moment at that level of conscious awareness. But being honest about it, you can say, okay, I created that. Didn't mean to, but I did. And if I can acknowledge that, now I can do it again in moving forward, maybe not the same situation, but in future similar situations, I can do it better. You can get a sense of excitement about it. Like, wow, I'm actually powerful enough to create something really cool, really enjoyable when I practice my spiritual wisdom. And if you practice your spiritual wisdom in calm moments and joyful moments, it is much easier than to use those tools and wisdoms and skills in moments of duress and overwhelm and even fear or grief. It helps because it's like you built up that muscle, you might say, and then it's there for you. It's a natural go-to. Also, in terms of the human brain, it is you kind of have already created that neural pathway. And so, not kind of, it's the truth. You have, as you create the neural pathway, a new one, it becomes a go-to neural pathway. When it's new, you still have to choose it. It's a little more mental and emotional and energetic effort. But as it becomes your new normal, it's your automatic go-to in times of stress. It's much easier for all of us. Okay, so let's do a process. Let's do I call it an meditative energy activation. So, Spencer always creates some cool music for us. Thank you, Spencer. So here we go. Let's all take a deep breath. Exhale the sound. Whoa. Another deep breath. Hold for 3 seconds. Exhale. And pause for 3 seconds. And now another deep, long breath. Very soft, thorough exhale all through your body. All through the fingers, the toes, the crown, fingers and toes. Shake your body a little bit, loosen everything up. Direct your energy to open to pure source. So I have a question for you. Where do you feel stuck? Something, it's like you're in a Groundhog's Day experience. Those of you who've seen that movie, so you keep repeating the same thing over and over. Maybe different people, maybe different places, maybe different jobs, maybe different opportunities with money. And yet it ends the same way. And no matter how hard you try to do it differently and better and have a happier result, keeps happening. I'm not asking you to think about that. Another person is creating that. And you're experiencing it because you're in their energy field. Because you see, that's giving your power away to them. I'm saying you are experiencing it because you choose to invite this into your energy field. So maybe that's the awareness you need. You didn't know you were inviting it. You wouldn't be in your energy field if you weren't saying yes to it and inviting it in. Don't judge yourself. Love yourself enough to own that, because that's where your point of power, that's your point of alignment with divine presence and power. So now, make a very powerful choice. You will now, in this moment, stop flowing your energy by focusing on what is bad about that, what is painful, what is sad, what is frustrating, whatever negative emotion, a little bit of negative emotion or full-blown anger, rage, sadness, grief, hopelessness. Maybe it's just irritation, frustration, anxiety. It's all some degree of negative emotion. And if you have studied Course in Miracles, you know that in any moment, You're either experiencing love or fear. Negative emotion is a form of fear, some degree of fear. Emotions that have an underlying component of fear. You're trying to control something externally to have a positive experience rather than going within, connecting to divine love, which is the light of the one, divine presence and power, and creating from within, creating the emotional feeling, frequency, consciousness, and then carrying that forth without in the outer. Now take that in, please. If you're stuck in some way, if you're in a groundhog day repetition, or you just keep having experiences, something, unhappiness with coworkers or bosses, or challenges with money, or health challenges, or relationship challenges, every form of relationship. Relationship with yourself is where every relationship starts, with yourself and with the divine. I invite you now to choose. Sacred self-love will be your priority. Aligning with divine presence and power will be your first choice before taking human action. By that I mean action in the human realm, something you say, or withholding something to say, which is sometimes wise. Something you do or choosing not to do something. Stillness, prayer, holding sacred space. Sometimes that's always a good choice to begin there, and sometimes that's all you want to do. You become guided. That is the answer. And feel into right now, on a level of 1 to 10, where are you in choosing sacred self-love first, before you choose your action toward another, for another, with another, or even a group? Where are you in that? Are you resisting it? Are you afraid to do that? Do you feel unworthy? Do you feel you're not capable? Do you have to always create through someone else because you don't feel capable of holding sacred self-love and allowing divine presence and power to be for you, with you, as you? Take a breath. Stay in that space for a moment. I invite you, I encourage you, and I hold space with you with very grounded, clear presence and power of time for you, with you, as you, to give yourself full permission to choose sacred self-love first, with alignment to the divine presence and power, trusting you will always choose wisely, with pure love, pure joy, deep, pure, abiding peace. And it will be a blessing to everyone involved when you come into an experience and make choices aligned with the divine, embracing the power and presence of the divine, and you will know that to the degree you feel, claim, allow, and express sacred self-love. So stay in that for a moment. We're going to have a conversation about that beginning in a few minutes. Take a breath. Exhale the sound. Come back into your body. Begin that process. Breathe through your body. Make sure you're grounded. Allow yourself to be both the spiritual being of light you are and the beautiful human being that you are. And allow the divine self to lead while also celebrating and enjoying the unique, beautiful human being that you are. And that human being brings amazing love and joy and peace into expression when your divine self takes the lead in who you are and all you do, and your choice for how to be in this world. Take another breath, please. Open your eyes when you're ready. Come back. Come back with us. Yeah. Laura's going to come and talk to us in a minute, and we'll start our conscious conversation after that. I want to make some announcements. Wow. We're all kind of getting grounded. Give you all a little more time. Next week is a holiday weekend, so we will not have a live stream on Facebook or YouTube. We will have a post on our Facebook page. We invite you to come and participate in that. I will pre-schedule it so it comes up at the same time, 10 o'clock Eastern. And the purpose of that is to give you something so that you do have a spiritual nugget of wisdom should you choose to seek that on Sunday, as so that we don't leave you hanging without that offering, which we enjoy bringing to you every Sunday. And then we will come back in June, and we will have a new series, and we're going to really focus on the skill, cultivating the skills of conscious conversation. This is something you will use in every form of relationship, beginning with the relationship you have with yourself, the conversations you have with yourself, self-awareness, self-authentic clarity of intention, and then conscious choices, and knowing when you are making conscious choices and when realizing when you are not, and what's driving that. What we're going to discuss a lot. It's going to cover a couple of months. It's going to be, I think, really powerful. So I invite you to join us for that, starting in June. Okay, so now, Lori, have you had time to get grounded and join us?
I believe I have. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I absolutely love that each week these messages are still so very pertinent to me and what I'm going through. You would think, and others have said over the last 3 years, isn't it repetitive? Isn't it, I mean, how much more can you talk about within the aligning with divine and conscious conversation? It's amazing how what you really truly need to delve into, or what I do. I'm not speaking for everybody, but if it isn't practiced every week, how easily it is to just slip back into old, quote unquote, worldly ways. And I find that with some challenges at work and outside of work, that it's like, okay, wait a minute, take a breath. It comes to me more and more often. It's like, okay, before I respond. And there's so many people that I've been dealing with that if I do not respond right away, oh, hi, Marie. If I don't respond right away, they think something's wrong. And they have to break that silence, even if it's 10 seconds. Ask a question. If you don't respond right away, it's like, well, what was wrong with that? And hang on, I was just centering myself to truly answer your question and not knee-jerk react. So give me a minute. This has nothing to do with you, everything to do with me. Why it triggered you, I don't know. Something you can look into outside of this, but let's focus on the topic at hand, which in my workday is video. So it's like, it's just video. Nobody's going to die. People will be upset if this particular USFL game does not get on in the time that it's supposed to, but nobody's going to die. It's not brain surgery. It's not rocket science, or rocket surgery, brain science, depending on what career you choose. So those little things on a daily basis still mean a great deal to me. And there are times where it just is not natural to me to take that breath. And I think, wow, after a couple of decades of doing this work, why did I slip back? Well, probably because that particular moment was a time in a day where my alarm went off late or didn't go off at all. There was a huge storm last night, so just even getting online today, I didn't think was going to happen. It's like all this, and without taking the time to take a breath and get grounded, it just doesn't happen for me. And more often than not, I start my day with that deep breath and, all right, God, what good things do we have going on today? And I've consciously chosen to create my circle with like-minded individuals. Really cool thing about that is that without asking, people have been revealing themselves to me as spiritually grounded people within my work community. And it has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. When we connect with divine, put it out there intentionally, may not even have to say it out loud. The universe provides, the universe comes through. Part of that provision for us being a nonprofit, charitable contribution organization is that every once in a while we get these little love notes from Facebook and from Amazon and we got another one over the weekend, and I was like really excited to see that, because for me being the financial cheerleader here, I'm like, we're going to divine all of our operational expenses with ease, and here's how much more we need, and this is really cool. And it's like, okay, we're going to divine that, ba-bing, here you go. Here's a nice little check for part of that. And it was just really cool to see that in the email this morning. And thank you very much for forwarding that. And, we provide all these services because we joyfully do this. We would love to create a whole universe of spiritually like-minded people. This gives us joy. And I do speak for Renee and Spencer because we've talked about that this is our passion and purpose in life, is to really impart this knowing and this way of life for the betterment of all beings on the planet, not just humans. Animals pick up on the energy as well, and they bring wonderful energy to us. And when the animals are wobbly, we're wobbly. When we're wobbly, the animals are wobbly. That's the way it is, folks. That's the way it is. In order for us to do that, it does take just a little bit of money. Money makes the world go round in certain circles, and to keep us online, it really does. So if you can spare that cup of coffee and don't go to Starbucks and want to send it our way, we'd really appreciate it. And the reason I bring that up is there's a couple of websites that I dig into and read technical things on, and it's all free. And they have this little button that says, buy us a cup of coffee. And it's literally, you donate $5, buy them a cup of coffee. And it is just, I just thought it was the coolest little thing on way to ask about donations. And it made me smile for like the whole day yesterday. I was like, oh, buy me a cup of coffee. That's really awesome. And so buy us a cup of coffee. We would absolutely appreciate that. And, if you're strapped, if you're one of those people that are still looking for jobs out there and, and fell victim to the COVID closings and things like that, we completely get it. And if there's something in particular you're looking for, I am always plugged into, especially technical jobs. I never stop with the job offers, even though I've been in my current work environment for 15 years. I did recently change jobs because my department was cut during COVID. And, I will never stop that. And so I'm forever, trying to hook other people up. And if you need a little bit of extra help, give me a jingle. There may be something set my way that would be good for you. And that's how we support each other. And that is the energy flow. If it's not money coming through PayPal or Amazon donations or Facebook donations or through the credit card little donate button that we have on our websites and different places, and the link that is usually in Facebook, then the share, then the like, then the, other different types of energy, comments. Let us know what we're doing that really serves you. Or maybe there's something else that's been a little nudge on your shoulder. Hey, maybe we need to interject this into our weekly routine. Absolutely. If it's something that is a little message that's inside of you, let us know. It's probably the energy flow that we're talking about. So with that, I think we've given enough people enough time to grab some electronics and get some donations flowing our way, and energy and likes and loves and shares. And I'm going to pass this right back over to you, Renee, to bountifully, prayerfully multiply it all.
Thank you, Lori. That was beautiful. So we want to always bless the energy coming to us from you, whatever form that is, the likes, the loves, the shares, the comments, the being present that's a wonderful gift of your energy. And we thank you for financial contributions with those who are in a position where you'd like to do that. We very much welcome it. Our goal is 33 people who average $100 a month. That's our goal. And we welcome you for that. We're also looking for grants. So anyone who knows about a grant that supports something like what we do, we welcome hearing from you on that. That would be great return of energy to us. So we receive your energy, your presence, and every form of energy from you, contributions. And we want to bless it, as Lori said, tenfold for us and for you. So we thank you. Let's just all take a moment to hold our palms together. Our chakras in our palms are very powerful. You might want to hold it and visualize it, a little orb of light as divine love and light, divine presence, energy flow of money being used for divine power to be expressed in worldly ways. We receive that now. We bless it for each one of us, including you, whether you're with us live or later. We bless it for all the world. We bless it for our center to continue this broadcast, to continue serving, and to expand, continue expanding how we serve, where we serve. And we are just joyfully receiving that. And we welcome it, we open our heart and take it in fully with joy and ease and grace. And we say thank you. That's what it is. Okay, so conscious conversation. Let's, here's what I want to ask about. It's pretty simple. It's the same thing we just talked about. I just thought we would go ahead and get some input from Spencer and Lori, and anybody listening, please answer in a comment and Spencer will share it with us. So on the question I asked during the message today, to what extent, on a scale of, let's say 1 to 10, to what extent do you tend to align with divine presence and power prior to making a conscious choice how to proceed, whether it's speaking, acting, or just choosing how you feel about it, choosing your perspective about something? To what degree do you do that? And then as you're answering that, I think you'll become aware that in some areas you probably do that as a kind of your go-to more often, in some aspects of life, some facets of your life, and in others, you will do it less often. And it's just great awareness to kind of know that, and then just kind of give yourself a little pause about, I wonder why that is, and you don't have to have full understanding of it, but the awareness of it is what will change, because then you can start noticing and making new, more evolved, more conscious choices. So that's one of the questions I have, but we can talk about anything that came up for either of you during the meditation or doing a message. Who wants to go first?
Do you want me to take that, Spencer? You're muted.
Yep. I was just gonna say, I don't know, I'd say I operate at like a 6 or a 7 as far as how often I check in and go from there. But I definitely realize that there's a lot of things that I don't do that for. Just I guess out of a fact of simplicity, and I don't know if it's because I'm already operating in that space most of the time, but there are certain times where you really notice when you get taken out of that flow and then need to like take a moment to get back into it. Kind of like reminds me of the movie Finding Nemo when they're in the stream, the Gulf Stream, and then they get knocked out and they have to swim back into it, just like that a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. I've always loved the Just Keep Swimming. To me, the Just Keep Swimming is just keep coming back to alignment, like you said, letting that stream be the stream that carries you.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that analogy, and I feel like I'm about a 6 as well. I have to consciously work on it on a daily basis. I really do, because if I don't, then it'll wobble sideways. It really, really will.
So my question is to help you, both of you, sort of ground that in, that awareness, ground it in as a new awareness, so that now you approach, from this moment forward, you approach it from a higher frequency, higher awareness, higher frequency. So to help ground that in, can you see that in the times that you don't do that, are you able to connect with the degree of sacred self-love you're holding or not holding? Do you see any correlation there?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It comes back to myself and others, not reacting as kind as I'd like to.
Yeah, for me, it's like just reminding myself that everybody is their own self-expression of the universe or the divine, and not everybody's going to be operating on a similar level or pattern or wavelength or whatever as me. And I don't even mean to say that in a form of higher or lower, because those terms have been used with me, and not to get all nitpicky about it, but that's just, I think, comes from a place of people looking for this ultimate hierarchy and this climb to nirvana and all that. And it's, to me, we already have that within us. Nobody's higher or lower or above or below or left or right or sideways or backwards. It's just they are. And just being able to connect with that and be like, you know what, they're there, and that's what they are at this moment. And allowing them to be that really allows me to be me.
I love how you said that. And I want to tie it into something Lori was saying about focusing on others. So part of holding sacred self-love is trusting, as you said, I'm going to say it differently, but it's what you said. I'm going to rephrase it. Trusting others are also sovereign, meaning they have divine presence and power available 100%, just as you do, just as each of us does. Whether they choose to align and use that, whether they are on a path where they are even awakened to it, is still their sovereign choice. It is still their sovereign soul path, sovereign soul journey. A lot of ways you can describe it. And we want to be clear, and I appreciate you saying that, Spencer. It's not a hierarchy. That doesn't make us better than that person, right? It could mean that person could cause harm, because out of alignment is when we do things that create harm for others. And within alignment, we don't create harm. We may not say yes to them, like the analogy one of my teachers uses a lot is somebody, when if somebody comes to your home and every time you open the door, they dump a big pile of dirt or mud or whatever on your carpet or your floor, how many times are you going to keep opening the door to that? Which is the way of saying how many times you're going to continue to open your energy field to someone who always dumps something unwanted and unpleasant on into your energy field. Because who's in charge of opening that door? You are. Who's in charge of opening your energy field to another person? You are. We have a habit of opening to each other rather than to the divine. Open to the divine. Those who are aligned with you at that frequency will be in your energy field. And those that aren't will tend not to be in your energy field. They will tend to flow around you like the stream, that stream, right? The problem, I think it's a very important self-inquiry. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with newer, more evolved relationships entering your life every day, week, month, year, every phase of your life, decade or whatever? Are you okay with that? Or do you have are you making yourself hold your frequency to align with those that you have really gone different directions? Because that isn't necessarily good for you and probably very frustrating for them. But doing it without judgment and anger and like hierarchy, just allowing life to be, right? Like allowing the beautiful, I'm looking at birds right now, allowing the beautiful cardinal to be beautiful red and allowing the little wren to be a beautiful brown, tones of brown. They're not better or worse. That's who they're choosing to be. It's who their soul came to be, bringing it back to us. It's who the soul of that person came to be. What if we quit trying to get them to be aligned with us and quit trying to make us be aligned with them? That's not aligning with divine presence and power. And that is not sacred self-love. That is, there's a lot of ways you could call that enabling and codependent. But basically it is, I like to think of it as this. It's triangulating your energy. It's not just you, divine self, and the divine. Now it's like, no, it has to go around through somebody else, Well, it doesn't work that way because they're the only ones in charge of their alignment and you're the only one in charge of yours. We are the only one in charge of our alignment and it is not our place, nor is it our business, nor is it our right, nor do we have authority. Meaning that it's not physically and spiritually and energetically possible. So we haven't been given that right, that authority, that power to align for someone else. We can't. And when we try to do it, we end up matching their frequency instead of holding the high frequency that we have evolved to. And that's when we have the ups and downs and the wobbles. And it's going to happen. There's going to be times it happens. And so this is about awareness, not judgment. Awareness so that we do more of what's joyful and powerfully created for good in the world. That's all this is about. That's why we talk about it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of add to that. You're mentioning that letting the cardinals be red and wrens be brown and stuff. And in a practical level in our life, though, I mean, I don't think many of us are upset about the colors of birds. I think that's a good high level example. But when you run into people, just reminding yourself that it's the true sacred self-love to love them as they are, not as what you want them to be. And I don't remember if we touched on this or if this was a book I was reading that was talking about unconditional love being used as something to used by manipulators or energy vampires or however you want to call them to manipulate you. Sometimes people aren't even just aware of what their behaviors are doing. And I ran into this, this week as well, but being able to look at that person and just let them be that, even though it's maybe a bad choice and not the choice you would make, You really have to be able to step back and truly love that person as they are in order to do that. It's an exercise in extreme love of self and love of every expression of the universe. Um, so yeah.
Yes, I think so. And I think the way to do that is I want to clarify, to love that person where they are is not to love the choice they're making.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Not to love the behavior pattern or energy dynamic is how I think of it, that they are choosing, and make yourself experience it with them.
Yeah.
It is, like you said, Spencer, it is to recognize there is the divine in them, and they are expressing that to the best of their ability in the moment. And if it doesn't feel good, of course, you don't have to stay with them in it.
Mm-hmm.
We do that with love, without anger and judgment and condemnation. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard. I know. I just went through an experience where I got to learn to do that better than I've ever done before. And something that I had an old trigger it was great, because I got to be, in the sense that I got to free myself of it. And it was difficult. It also, it was both.
Yeah, we go through those little wobbles and it's like, I really thought that I was over this. What the heck? Why am I experiencing this right now?
Yes, I know. And I'm glad you said that, because we are experiencing it because the universe is doing this awareness for us, bringing us this experience for us, not to us. It's
right.
And it's okay if it feels like you have to start from where you are. And if it feels like it was done to you, you have to let yourself feel that and then release and say, okay, I know that's not the truth, but I had to let that feeling go. So I felt it, and now I released it. And now let me look at, what do I want to do now? You don't want to put all your energy. That stuck point is when we're putting our energy into changing what has already happened. And we think it's like, no, we're changing what will happen next. Well, don't try to change what will happen next. Create something new instead of changing the flow that's already happening. Just let go and create new, because you have to, as Einstein was said so beautifully, we have to raise our energy, our frequency higher to create something higher. So we can't be focused on the upset of what has happened, and create something other than more of that upset. So it's really, it's fascinating. I really have compassion for anyone listening. I do. I have so much compassion that it can be really difficult to do that. And that's why as Lori said, that's why every week we practice aligning with the divine, recognizing presence and power within ourselves, and so that we can bring it into every situation, so that when something happens that is difficult, we're more ready for it. We can handle it better with more wisdom and self-love and kindness toward others, without allowing harm to be done.
Yeah, it was very recently when you said Einstein, it was very recently that I realized that he was an energy worker as well as a huge scientific method brain. And one of his quotes that I truly resonate with is that no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it.
Yes, that's exactly it. And consciousness is energy frequency.
Yep.
Yeah. And so something happened, didn't go the way you wanted it. You have to make peace with it, not because you accept that that's the best you're worthy of or the best you're capable of, but that in everything that came together, all the energies that came together that created that was the highest could happen with those energy frequencies coming together. Now, you, just one person, can raise your frequency, your consciousness, as you said, Lori, and then there will be a different outcome. The outcome might be you don't co-create with the energy, that group of energy, or you might still be in it, but you will impact it by raising your frequency. it will be now a new frequency, a higher frequency, just by one person raising their consciousness, their awareness, their frequency, their conscious choice for high vibrational alignment with the divine. Great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else before we sign off?
Nope.
I am complete.
Okay, cool. So those of you listening, if you think of something later, please chime in and we'll address it in the comments. I invite you to share with anyone you think might enjoy the conversation or the message and the energy activation. Feel free to listen to it again. You can go back to that place and just take yourself through it again. I know sometimes it helps to have a little more time, so you can pause it if that's helpful to you. All right, next week we will not be live, but there will be a post on a Facebook page for you to enjoy, and our website, SCfCL.org, has all those links. It has the donation links. It has an address to mail as a check if you prefer to do things that way. We welcome your support in any way that you feel led. We'd like you to be a part. We want you to feel a part, because in our hearts and minds you are. Have a wonderful week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks live, but we will have something for you next Sunday as well. Thank you so much. Lots of love to everyone.